You are about to give away $5 million on television to one person in front of 50 million viewers. Not 5 million split across 100 people, not 1 million spread over 5 years. $5 million. One check, one winner. Largest cash prize in the history of television. This is Beast Games. It premiered on Amazon Prime Video in December 2024. 1,000 contestants, 10 episodes, filmed over weeks in a production that cost more than most network television series. Within 25 days, 50 million people had watched it. That made it the most watched unscripted series in the entire history of Amazon Prime Video. Amazon renewed it for 2 more seasons before the finale even aired. Season 2 launched in January 2026. Some of the contestants sued you, alleging food deprivation, sleep deprivation, dangerous conditions on set, and failure to prevent sexual harassment among participants. The lawsuit was filed before Season 2 began filming. You said the accusations were exaggerated. Amazon said they take safety seriously. Season 2 went into production. The show kept going. Welcome, you are MrBeast. This is a Tuesday. Your name is Jimmy Donaldson. You were born in 1998 in Wichita, Kansas. Your parents were both veterans of the United States military. They divorced when you were 9. You moved with your mom, Susan, and your older brother, CJ, to Greenville, North Carolina. Your father was largely absent from that point forward. Greenville is still your base. You never left. At 11, you started posting videos on the internet. At 13, you formally created a YouTube channel called MrBeast 6000. The early videos were gameplay footage from online games, analyses of how much other YouTubers earned, and constant experiments to understand why certain content went viral and other content didn't. They were not technically impressive. Almost nobody watched them. You watched them though. You watched every video you made and studied what was wrong with it. Then you made another one. Then another one. This continued for 4 years. You dropped out of college after a few weeks. The stated reason: you could not afford to give your attention to anything except YouTube. You had no real money. You could barely pay rent. You were putting every dollar from early minor sponsorships back into the next video. Your mom asked you to stop. She was watching you go broke in slow motion, and she wanted you to get a real job. You did not stop. The channel had almost no subscribers. The videos were not working yet. You kept going anyway. The friends who would later become part of your core team, Chandler, Carl, Chris, were people you knew from around Greenville. They started showing up in videos not because you hired them, but because they were around. The team did not begin as a company. It began as a group of friends with nothing to lose and nowhere better to be. This will become, eventually, a production operation with hundreds of employees, a $5 billion valuation, and multiple active lawsuits. But it started as a group of broke friends in North Carolina making content that almost no one was watching. At 17, you were diagnosed with Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammatory condition of the digestive tract. Incurable. Managed, not solved. For some people, completely debilitating. You were hospitalized multiple times. There were periods of severe pain that coincided with the exact window when the channel was supposed to be growing. Most people would have used this as the moment to stop. You did not stop. You adjusted your diet. You changed your daily schedule. You arranged your filming around the condition, rather than letting the condition arrange itself around your filming. You have spoken about this publicly and at length. You have said you do it to reduce stigma around digestive diseases. You have also said, in more candid moments, that the diagnosis terrified you, that you genuinely thought it might end the channel before the channel had a real chance, that the fear of wasted time was worse than the physical pain. You did not stop when things got hard. You turned this into a personal philosophy. It will come up again, repeatedly. In 2017, you published a video of yourself counting out loud from 1 to 100,000. In one sitting. It took over 40 hours. 40 hours. Counting. Out loud. On camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the way to 100,000. without stopping. The video went viral. Not because it was impressive, because it was completely unhinged. Because nobody does that. Because you clearly were not going to stop until you finished. The internet watched someone refuse to quit at something that had no reason to exist and could not look away. You were 19 years old. You had been making YouTube videos for 6 years. This was the first one that actually worked. The message the video sent, without you ever saying it directly, was, "This person will not stop. Whatever you tell him is impossible, he will do it, and he will film it." That is still the entire pitch. 8 years later, 480 million subscribers later. The videos that came after escalated systematically. You spent 50 hours inside a replica of a prison cell. You buried yourself alive for 24 hours. You survived in the wilderness with no supplies. You recreated the set of Squid Game with real prize money. Every video was more expensive, more extreme, and harder to ignore than the last. Each one told the same story. You will not stop. You will not be reasonable about it. You will spend whatever it takes to prove the concept. Here's what you figured out that nobody else had. Every other creator on the platform made videos in order to earn money. You earned money in order to make videos. That reversal of direction is the entire business model. You get a sponsorship for $10,000. You spend $12,000 on the video. You get a bigger sponsorship. You spend more than you have. You get a larger sponsorship. The cycle continues. You were always slightly overextended, slightly over budget, slightly betting on the next video being bigger than the one before it. And you were right, repeatedly, for years. The more the video cost, the more impossible it looked, the more people watched, the more sponsors paid, the larger the next budget became. It was a feedback loop. It was also a theory of media economics that no individual creator had ever tested at this scale before. Other people saw what you were doing and thought, "That's irresponsible." You kept doing it until it was worth $5 billion. By 2022, you had surpassed PewDiePie as the most subscribed individual creator in the history of YouTube. PewDiePie had held that position for nearly a decade. He congratulated you publicly. You passed him, kept going, and did not slow down. In 2025, you crossed 480 million subscribers. The second largest individual channel has less than half that number. The gap is not narrowing. Now let's talk about what you do with the money, or some of it. You paid for cataract surgery for 1,000 people who had been blind for years. All 1,000. In one video. You flew them in, covered the cost of every procedure, and filmed each person seeing again for the first time. Or, in some cases, for the first time in their lives. The video has over 300 million views. The people can see. Both of those facts are equally true, and neither one cancels the other. You built 100 wells in communities across Africa and Southeast Asia with no reliable access to clean water. Not one, not 10, 100. In 2019, you launched Team Trees with Mark Rober, a former NASA engineer turned YouTuber. The goal? Plant 20 million trees. $1 donated equals 1 tree planted. You raised $23.6 million. 23.6 million trees went into the ground. Elon Musk donated. Corporations joined. Other creators joined. It became the largest crowdfunding environmental campaign in internet history at the time. 2 years later, Team Seas. Remove 30 million pounds of plastic and ocean waste. $1 equals 1 pound removed from the water. You raised $33 million. 33 million pounds of waste came out of the ocean. In 2023, Team Water. Provide clean drinking water to communities that don't have it. You raised over $40 million. Team Trees, Team Seas, Team Water. $96 million. Raised from the public, spent on the planet. Over 6 years. You also created Beast Philanthropy, a separate YouTube channel dedicated entirely to charitable acts. Rebuilding houses, donating food, funding medical procedures for people with no insurance. The channel has tens of millions of subscribers. Every dollar of revenue from that channel goes directly back into the charitable programs. MrBeast restored sight to 1,000 people who had never seen clearly. You can move a thumb, like this video. He spent 40 hours counting out loud to prove he deserved an audience. You've been here for 5 minutes. Return the gesture. Here is the part nobody wants to say directly. Every one of those videos made you money. A significant amount of money. The cataract video has over 300 million views. The sponsors paid very well. When you restore a blind person's sight on camera, 2 things happen at the same time. A person can see again, and you generate revenue. You cannot separate these 2 things. They happen in the same take. Academics call this poverty porn. The argument? MrBeast doesn't perform philanthropy. MrBeast produces entertainment in which charitable acts are the content. The desperation of vulnerable people is the emotional hook that drives views. The views drive ad revenue. The ad revenue comes to you. Your defenders say, the money is real, the trees are in the ground, the surgery worked, the blind can see. The mechanism of delivery doesn't change the outcome. People were helped. That's what matters. Your critics say, the mechanism is the entire point. You are always the hero of the story. The people receiving help are supporting characters. Their suffering is the narrative engine. The audience is the real product being sold to advertisers. You have never directly engaged with the structure of this critique. You point at the outcomes. You say you're just trying to do good. The critique does not go away. The wells keep getting built. Both things continue simultaneously. This is the central tension of being MrBeast. There is no clean answer. The conversation has been running for years, and it does not have a resolution. The $96 million didn't resolve it. Nothing has. While you were doing all of this, you also built a company. Beast Industries is a holding company. It is valued at approximately $5 billion. You built it before your 26th birthday. In 2022, you launched Feastables, a line of chocolate bars and snacks, sold at Walmart, Target, and Amazon across the United States. The marketing concept. Every purchase is a potential entry into an insane giveaway. Buy a chocolate bar, win a house. Buy 2, win a car. Feastables generated approximately $250 million in revenue in 2024. It is one of the fastest-growing consumer food brands in American retail history. The chocolate itself is reportedly fine. You also launched MrBeast Burger, no physical restaurants. A dark kitchen model, licensed space inside existing commercial kitchens, cooking your branded menu for delivery apps. At peak, MrBeast Burger operated out of over 1,000 licensed kitchens across the United States. That made it one of the largest virtual restaurant networks in the world. Then you accused your partner company, Virtual Dining Concepts, of producing food that did not meet your standards. They sued you. You countersued. You released a public statement. The phrase in that statement was, "The burgers are absolutely disgusting." The operation collapsed in 2023. The lawsuit settled. The burgers were discontinued. For a period of time, your most famous business outside of YouTube was a restaurant concept that you publicly described as absolutely disgusting. You also invested in Step, a financial technology company targeting teenagers and young adults. You have additional investments that are not fully disclosed. And then, Beast Games. Amazon Prime. 1,000 contestants. $5 million. The largest prize in the history of television. 50 million viewers in the first 25 days. Renewed for 2 more seasons. The most successful transition from online creator to traditional television any YouTuber has ever made. The critics who said YouTube stars couldn't cross over to television have not issued corrections. You did not wait for them to. Subscribing to this channel costs you nothing. MrBeast spent 40 hours counting to convince YouTube he was worth an audience. You've already watched this far. The button is right there. Now the other part. In June 2024, screenshots of private messages from Ava Chris Tyson leaked publicly. Tyson had been one of your closest collaborators for years, part of the original Inner Circle, recognizable to millions of your subscribers. The messages were between Tyson and fans. Some of the fans were minors. The conversations were sexually inappropriate in nature. You cut all ties immediately. You hired an independent agency to investigate. Tyson was removed from every project. You released a public statement. It was one of the largest image crises in the channel's history. The channel did not slow down. Then there was Dogpack 404. A former employee published a video titled, "I worked for MrBeast. He's a fraud." The accusations were specific. CGI used in videos presented as real, unaltered events. Giveaway formats that may have violated lottery regulations in multiple states. A work culture described as high pressure to the point of being abusive. You denied the accusations. You called them exaggerated and malicious. His video received tens of millions of views. Your response received tens of millions of views. The discourse ran for weeks across every platform. During production of Beast Games, multiple contestants came forward with accounts of conditions on set that they described as dangerous. Inadequate food, deliberate sleep deprivation, medical emergencies that went unattended for extended periods. One contestant described waiting hours for a response during a health crisis. A group of former contestants filed a class action lawsuit. The legal filing used the phrase chronic mistreatment. The filing also alleged that the production failed to prevent sexual harassment among participants during filming. You said the accusations were exaggerated? Amazon released a statement about prioritizing safety. Season 2 was already filming. In 2023, an independent investigator published evidence that you had promoted a cryptocurrency token, Superfarm, while already holding 1 million tokens that had been given to you prior to the public promotion. When you promoted it publicly, the token's value rose. When the promotion cycle ended, the value fell. The allegation? This is a classic pump and dump structure. The case was never proven in court. You did not directly address the substance of the allegation. The token collapsed. The conversation never fully went away. In 2025, a former female employee filed suit against 2 of your production companies. The allegations: sexual harassment and gender discrimination within Beast Industries. The lawsuit described an internal environment that did not resemble the external image of the brand. Every publication that covered the lawsuit noted the same thing. Not the specific allegations, the gap. The gap between the most cheerful, most positive, most charitable channel on the internet and what people were allegedly experiencing inside the company that ran it. Here is what you cannot do. Stop. The channel requires content. Content requires production. Production requires budgets. Budgets require revenue. Revenue requires content that performs. The machine feeds itself. It is always hungry. It does not have an off switch. You have said in interviews that you think about YouTube constantly, that even during vacations you are mentally working on the next video, that you dream about concepts, that the inability to fully disengage from the work is something you are aware of and have not resolved. You are 26 years old. You have a chronic illness that has hospitalized you multiple times. You run a $5 billion company. You produce videos that individually cost more than most independent films. You have not significantly slowed your upload schedule since 2017. Your team is now hundreds of people: editors, producers, set designers, coordinators, lawyers, publicists. The infrastructure required to sustain this channel is the size of a medium media corporation. You assembled all of it before your 25th birthday. You have been called the most influential content creator alive. You have also been called a fraud, a poverty pornographer, a toxic employer, and a cryptocurrency manipulator. Multiple journalists have written that you represent the best and worst of what the internet has produced simultaneously. At Christmas 2024, you proposed to Thea Boyson, a South African content creator with academic backgrounds in law, neuroscience, and psychology. You met in 2022. The proposal was at home, with family. You posted it on social media. It reached every corner of the internet within the hour. Tens of millions of people celebrated an engagement they were told about by a man they have never met, whose videos they watch every week, who they feel they know because he has been inside their phones since they were children. You got married in July 2025 on Necker Island, Richard Branson's private island in the Caribbean. The ceremony was private. The announcement was not. The Monday after the wedding, you were back on the upload schedule. Real question for the comments. Is what MrBeast does philanthropy, entertainment, or something that doesn't have a clean category yet? The debate has been going for years. Nobody has won it. We want to know where you land. Right now, somewhere, a team of editors is working on the next MrBeast video. It will have a concept that sounds physically impossible. It will cost several $million. It will reach an audience larger than most countries' entire television viewership. You are also simultaneously the subject of at least one active lawsuit, 2 ongoing public debates about your ethics, and 1 documentary being produced about your rise without your cooperation. None of this has changed the upload schedule. You have 480 million subscribers. You have chronic Crohn's disease. You have been accused of fraud. You restored sight to 1,000 people. You removed 33 million pounds of garbage from the ocean. You made burgers that you later called absolutely disgusting. You married someone on a billionaire's island. You are 26. These are all the same person, the same resume, the same Tuesday. Sometimes you talk about the early videos and interviews. A kid in a bedroom in Greenville, North Carolina. No team, no money, no subscribers worth counting. A camera and a theory. Make something so extreme that people physically cannot look away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 40 hours of counting alone in a room because the video needed to exist, and the only way to make it real was to do the unreasonable thing all the way to the end. He didn't know about the $5 billion. He didn't know about Necker Island or the Amazon Prime series or the $96 million raised for the planet. He didn't know about the lawsuits. He didn't know about the scandal, the academic papers, or the documentary being made about him without his input. He didn't know about the Crohn's yet. He just knew if he stopped counting, the video wouldn't be real. And if the video wasn't real, nothing he was working toward would happen. So he didn't stop. At 100,000, he stopped. Then he started the next video, then the one after that, then the $5 million prize, then the Amazon renewal, then the island wedding, then back to set, back to the editors, back to the upload schedule. The kid who spent 40 hours counting out loud in a bedroom in Greenville now runs one of the most influential media operations on the planet. The question everyone keeps asking is whether what he built is a good thing. The blind people can see. The trees are in the ground. The ocean has 33 million fewer pounds of garbage in it. Those parts are good, measurably, verifiably good. The contestants are suing. The former employees are suing. The gap between the public face and the internal allegations is a story that hasn't finished being told. Those parts are complicated. He has a chronic illness and a filming schedule that hasn't slowed in nearly a decade. He has 480 million people who watch him every week and feel like they know him. He has a company worth $5 billion and a list of ongoing lawsuits and a wife he married on a billionaire's island. He is right now, almost certainly, thinking about the next video. He cannot stop. He has never been able to stop. That has always been the whole thing. He counted to 100,000, then he kept going. That's not ambition. That's a condition. And honestly, the planet has 96 million fewer reasons to complain about it.
Life is a nightmare.